All right, hello. A little bit of a late video this time. It's coming out, or I'm filming this on a Monday instead of on a Saturday like I usually do. I had car trouble. Um, my radiator, I guess there's some plastic pieces on it, and one of the pieces cracked, so I had to fix that. And now that it's fixed, I'm $1,600 lighter, but at least I don't have to pay for an engine or a new car. Um, so uh, the reason or the point that I wanted to make this video, it's kind of a reaction video to my last one. Um, I'd finally gotten some traction, with people viewing the video from like two videos back when I said, laid off, we're all going to be self-employed, eventually. Um, and I was kind of playing with the titles, and next one was are tariffs going to get you laid off? Uh, there was some odd comments. I don't know if they just heard the laid or, didn't read the whole thing, but they're kind of making fun of that. Yeah, that's fine. Uh, but I think either throwing the word laid off or throwing the word tariffs in the title, definitely last week was my most viewed video, and actually had a lot of comments. Most of them, relatively constructive. A couple, not really constructive. Um, but yeah, and several things have actually happened since then. Uh, you know, we kind of went tit for tat. Trump, raised tariffs and China raised, and we kind of went back and forth. I don't know what we ended at with China putting tariffs on us, but yeah, whatever. Um, but then I think it was Monday. Uh, Trump said, okay, we're going to put, except for China, all the other countries just 10% until they, have a chance to negotiate whatever tariffs, they'll decide on. And then the stock market just took off. I think like looking at some of my 401k before that, I was down like 20 grand or 20%. I have like 100,000 in it. But then the day it shot up, I made like 10% back. Still not quite where I was, but it'll probably eventually trickle back up. But with that being said, expect problems in the future. Not because of tariffs necessarily, um, but like we got to get spending under control. I think tariffs probably one step. Um, the Doge cuts, regardless of whether um, you agree with what they're doing, I'd like to think that most people are uh, at least in agreement. What is this camera doing? You there? Okay. I'd like to think that most people are in agreement that we shouldn't waste money. If we're going, I don't know what the number is, but if we were going like $4 trillion a year in debt every year extra, we probably shouldn't be spending, the money that we are overseas for whatever the stuff that we're actually sending. Maybe if we had a surplus, maybe it'd be a different situation. But we're going in the hole quite a bit. Um, but we still have to tackle medical debt, Medicare, Medicaid, all those stuff. Those are the big ones that are unfunded, like underfunded by, I think they're like somewhere between 15 and 20% funded. Um, so massively, and that's part of what's getting us to go in debt so much. We got to get that under wraps. Um, I think that in itself would probably help it. But if we don't do it, you probably will have not going to say economic collapse or government collapse or anything like that, but there will be hard times. It will be bad because it'll eventually get to the point where the government is either going to have to shut off services because they can't afford it, or we're going to have to print money, which will make everything expensive, and we can't afford it. Like there's no more juice to squeeze. Um, like things are just compare 2019 or 2020, pre-COVID prices to now, and most things are more expensive. And I don't think we can or want things to get even more expensive on top of that. But printing off another $1 trillion, and every time we go further in debt, like that's why we have the inflation that we have, because we can't stop spending money that we don't have. So yeah, and ultimately that's kind of what this whole channel is about. You know, being resilient to all these things. I had the video where uh, you know laid off. We're all going to be self-employed. The kind of whole thesis behind that is you can't work for a large corporation these days and expect like stability. Whether it's tech companies or banks or like any of these large companies that live and die by their stock price at a whim, like you could just be laid off, and maybe they'll make up something that you're a low performer. Maybe they'll put you under a performance evaluation and review, or maybe they don't even care, and they just drop you at the first sign of trouble. That's not stable living. You can't count on it. What you can count on is yourself, your work ethic, and the amount of work that you put in. And that's kind of where I was talking about, being self-employed. Uh, you know, this thing is killing me. Um, if you have any other skills or you had jobs in the past, like maybe you're good at being an auto mechanic. I just spent $1,600 getting a radiator fixed. The part, I don't know how much the part was, but the part was probably 900,000, something like that, and then the rest of it was labor. Um, there's carpet cleaners. I had a guy come clean all my carpets. He made like $360 in like an hour and a half, 2 hours. There's lawn care. There's pressure washing, window washing, dog walking. Like I can't even think of everything. All sorts of stuff. But if you have an interest or if you have a skill, definitely kind of work on building that. And this thing is killing me. I don't know what you're doing. It's just moving for no reason. Um, yeah, and build. Like I don't even like calling it a side hustle, but work to become as independent as possible. And like I think the ideal situation would be probably to work for yourself. Um, Granted, not everybody can do that. Not everybody wants to do it. Some people just want to clock in. I don't know. Here, let me hold it because this. I don't know what this is doing. Hey, I'm right here. Give me a second. Yeah, I don't know. This might have to like restart this or something. Okay. Here, I'll just try not to move. All right, sorry about that. So, yeah, I think the ideal situation would be to be self-employed in some form or fashion, or have that side hustle. If you can swing both jobs, definitely do that. Uh, and that way, like one, best case scenario, you might actually have two forms of income. And if, you know, you get laid off, you go headfirst into, the one you've been working on. And it's not as, the income loss isn't as big of a deal. It's still probably bad, but it's not from, you know, $4,000 or $5,000 a month to zero. It might be $4,000 or $5,000 a month to, goodness gracious, I don't know what this thing is doing. Can I turn? Nope, I don't want that. Goodness gracious. Okay, so yeah, that's distracting. I'm gonna pump this out anyway, and I'll just maybe if I can figure out how to cut that part off, I'll do it. If not, then I'll leave it, and then we'll just toss it up to technical errors or something like that. But yeah, what was that? Yeah, so being resilient means being able to kind of survive at some level when things kind of turn for the worse. And some of the risks that I talked about, there's the job loss, there's health loss, things like that. You get old, you can't always do the stuff that you used to could when you're younger. Um, but a lot of times, even though nobody expects to get in a wreck or have accidents or health issues, you can plan and anticipate some of that stuff. So expect, there to be problems in the future um, in the economy. I don't know. I'm not telling you to buy or sell anything. I'm not telling you. I just expect problems in the future. Um, I don't think we can paper it over anymore. I don't think we're coming to the end of the road. We've been kicking the can down the road for the last 30 years, and honestly, there's just no more road. Um, I don't know when it's going to break, but unless we, like I said, start getting some major cuts um, into like government spending, it, it's just mathematics, really. Things that mathematically can't go on forever won't, and eventually everybody will realize that they'll start freaking out, and that's when we'll have problems. And part of that is what I think happened with the stock market for a couple of weeks ago. Like we had three or four big drops, and that's when the market lost 10 or 20% or whatever it ended up losing. And then Trump gives them just a little bit of hope, and it shoots up to like the record that it's one of the record days of like increased percentage. Like the amount of hopium is palatable in the markets, and I, it's not trading on technical things at all. So, but those are just my thoughts. Uh, I'm not a professional, but you know, just kind of do your own diligence, do your own research, and you know, try to insulate yourself as much as possible. I don't think it'll be bad. I don't. It will be 2008, 9 bad, or will it be Great Depression bad? No idea. Um, but there will be winners, there'll be losers. When if you save and you just sit on a pile of cash, when people start going bankrupt and selling houses or cars or just all these different assets, you might be lucky enough and be able to pick them up for pennies or nickels on a dollar. Um, but when there's you know when there's blood on the streets, and this is just figuratively speaking, in the markets, and everybody's screaming, no hope, and we're all gonna die. That's when you can make your greatest profits. Not at the peak. When you're kind of already too late, you miss the biggest jumps. So, okay, it's 15 minutes into the video. Probably had 2 or 3 minutes worth of just my camera being weird. But that's all I got. I will say, I think this will be the 23rd video. So it took about 23 videos before I actually started getting a number of comments and quite a few views, at least for me or my channel. So if all goes well, maybe I'll have something similar with this this video. So if you like it, have any comments, leave them below. Give a thumbs up or a thumbs down if that's even possible. And if you really like it, you just kind of want to hang out for the chats, subscribe. And I'm doing pretty good. I'm on the 4th month of making weekly videos, and yeah, it's kind of fun, and I don't plan on stopping at least for a while. So, all right, that's it. I will see y'all next week. Bye bye.